Here, the poem by Shirley Toulson highlights the memories associated with the photograph. It is indeed a tribute to her mother. Through the photograph, she recollects her mother's smiling face. The poem is woven around pain on the loss of her dear mother. Let's see line by line explanation, children. The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands. In these lines, the poet is looking at an old photo stuck on a cardboard. The cardboard here refers to a photo because in olden days they did not have framed photos. Okay, they had a piece of cardboard, that is a thick sheet of paper, and on that paper they stuck the photos and preserved them. Okay, so the cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins went paddling. Paddling is actually rowing of the boat, or it can be also called as wading or walking through the water. Whatever it is, they went to the beach side for enjoyment, each one holding one of my mother's hands. So it tells us how many girls went for the sea holiday? 3 girls. Okay, 2 of them, each one holding one of my mother's hands. And this is how it was. Okay, the poet is looking at this photograph and she grows nostalgic. And she, the big girl, some 12 years or so, all three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera, a sweet face. This slide tells you how the photo was taken and by whom. How was it taken? How were the children posing? They stood still to smile through their hair. To smile through their hair. What does it mean, children? It connotes that their smiling faces were visible even through their hairs flying over their faces. The children were in utter delight and enjoyment. Their happiness could be seen even through the flying hair. That is what is revealed here. Okay, they were extremely happy at that particular moment. And they were all posing at the uncle with the camera. Who clicked the photograph? Their uncle. That is the poet's mother's uncle clicked the photograph. Okay, a sweet face. Let's see whose face is sweet. So his uncle clicking the photograph, the owner of the sweet face. Okay, a sweet face, none other than the poet's mother. A sweet face, my mother's, she says, my mother's, that was before I was born, and the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. The poet's attention is now drawn towards her mother's face. Such a sweet face her mother had. Was the poet born at that time? No. It says it was before I was born. Okay? So mother had a very sweet face when she was 12 or so. Then the poet grows philosophic. Okay, let's see. And the sea which appears to have changed less. The poet says the sea which was in the photo had not changed, indirectly hinting that the human beings who were in the photo had changed a lot. It says, washed their terribly transient feet. What washed? The sea. Okay, and what is the description of the sea? That has changed less. The sea has not changed. Okay, it washed their terribly transient feet. Whose feet? The girl's feet. Okay, and how is the feet described? Transient. Transient means impermanent nature. The sea washing their feet had not changed, but the poet's mother and the cousins, they have changed a lot. The poet's mother had grown up, her beauty had faded away with passing time, and she also died. So the people who gave pose died, but the sea which washed their feet remains unchanged. So this particular lines shows us the immortality of nature. Okay, immortal quality of sea, which is a part of nature. Shall we move to the next slide, children? Some 20-30 years later, she would laugh at the snapshot. See Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. Who said these words? The poet's mother said these words. Okay, you can see in the slide, the poet's mother, some 20-30 years later. You can imagine, it was 12 when the photograph was clicked. So 12 plus 30, it may be 42. Mother may be 42 years old. When she looks at the photograph again, she would laugh at the snapshot. The snapshot here refers to the photograph, that is the sea holiday photograph. Then she herself would feel amused, and she would show the photograph to the poet saying, see Betty and Dolly. Betty and Dolly are her cousins, okay, who accompanied her during the sea holiday. See Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. So she feels amused. She laughs. Okay? She laughs looking at the way they were dressed up. So on the whole, this slide shows how the poet's mother is able to relive the moments in the photograph. And she laughs, amused at the way they were dressed up. Okay? It's an instant joy on looking at the photograph. And now moving on to the next line. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. Both wry with the labored ease of loss. As I told you, the poem has a very sorrowful tone. Okay? It's on a sad tone. The poet laments the loss of her mother. She says, the sea holiday was her past. Was her past. Whose past? Mother's past. Okay? And mine is her laughter. Mine here refers to the poet. The poet says, according to me, her laughter was my past, and to my mother, her sea holiday was the past. The happy moments of the sea holiday was poet's past, and her mother laughing at the photo was the poet's past. Okay? Both wry. Both wry. The both here refers to the incidents of the past. Just now I told you what are the incidents of the past. To her mother, the sea holiday is the past, And to the poet, her mother's laughter, recollecting those happy moments, is the past. Okay? It's Rai. Rai is actually a facial expression, it shows mocking. Okay? The thing is, what happens is both these people, mother, on looking at the sea holiday photograph, feels happy but immediately turns sad, realizing that she cannot have those happy moments back. The poet, she feels happy visualizing her mother's laughter through the photograph, but immediately turns sad realizing her mother is no more. Okay, so both these incidents have a sense of loss attached to them. And how did they bear the loss? Labored ease. See, two opposite words present next to each other. Okay, it's called oxymoron. Labored ease. Labored means with lot of difficulty, ease means easy. Okay, what did they overcome with a lot of difficulty? The loss. Mother had the loss of the sea holiday and the happy moments spent there, and the poet had loss of her mother. Both these losses were overcome with great difficulty. Both of them had no great difficulty in overcoming this sense of loss. It was not so easy. So both the incidents of the past provided them a loss. It gave them a loss, and it was overcome with great difficulty. Labored. Labored means with great difficulty, intense difficulty. Okay, children. Now, she's been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived. And of this circumstance, there is nothing to say at all. Its silence silences. So it has been 12 years since her mother passed away. That girl, see, look at the adjective there, that girl, it seems like totally a different person altogether. And of this circumstance, what circumstance, children? When the mother is no more. She's been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived. And of this circumstance, circumstance here refers to the death of her mother. Regarding this, she could not say anything. She is filled with sorrow. She is so filled with sorrow that she is not able to utter a word. Nothing can be said. That situation is a part of life, and on thinking about it, one can find no words to express the pain. Its silence silences. Its is the circumstance. That circumstance is silence. That is the death of her mother's silence silences her. Okay? So only emptiness remains. The poem actually, children, takes us through 3 stages. The first one, the photograph shows the poet's mother standing at the beach enjoying her sea holiday with the 2 other girl cousins. The second stage takes us 20 to 30 years later. The poet's mother would laugh at the way they were dressed for the beach. And the third stage shows us that the poet looks at the photo, she recollects her mother's laugh and remembers her with a heavy heart. Okay, children, having come to the end of the poem, let us see the poetic devices. Poetic devices. What are poetic devices, children? They are the tools used by a poet to make the poem more appealing to the readers. So it's like decorating a home. Likewise, the poet decorates his poem with some tools to make the readers feel happy. So those tools are called as poetic devices. They are also called as figures of speech. Okay? As far as this poem is concerned, we have about 5 figures of speech or 5 poetic devices. Please be attentive, children. The first one is alliteration. What's alliteration? It is actually occurrence of the same sound at the beginning of adjacent words. You remember Betty bought a butter? Last week's homework, tongue twister? Yes, exactly. So that is the best example for alliteration. Occurrence of the same sound at the beginning of adjacent words. Okay, let's see where we have this alliteration in this poem. Stood still. Can you get the sound? Similar sounds. Terribly transient. T. Silence, silences. S. Okay, so these 3 carry alliteration. Please note down, children. The next one is personification. What is personification? It is actually the attribution of human qualities to something non-human or abstract. Okay, it may be an object, but you provide it the qualities of a human. So in that case, it becomes personification. Let's see examples from the poem. Cardboard shows. Cardboard is actually non-human. It does not have life. But look at the verb for it, shows. Okay, so the human quality of showing is attributed to the cardboard. So it's personification, it's personified. C appears to have changed. So again, C. Okay, C is non-human, but the human qualities like appearing, changing, they are attributed to C. So it's called as personification. Its silence silences. As I told you, its is that circumstance, abstract. Okay, but it is given the quality of silencing. Only a human has the ability to silent others. Okay, teacher saying don't talk, keep quiet. Okay, they will be able to silent others. But here the situation, that is the abstract form, is given the human quality of silencing. Okay, children, so it's a personification. The next poetic device or figure of speech is oxymoron. What's oxymoron? And 2 ideas come together. 2 ideas. What kind of ideas? Opposite ideas. 2 opposite ideas come together to describe the same identity. Let's see the example. Labored ease of loss. Okay. So labored ease, as I told you, labor is with great difficulty and ease is quite the opposite of labored. So labored ease. Okay. So labored ease is the idea, 2 opposite ideas coming together to describe a word called loss. This is loss. How did they bear the loss? With great difficulty, they put the loss to ease. Okay. So labored ease describes one identity, that is loss. It describes how that loss was overcome by the people here. The next poetic device is transferred epithet. What is transferred epithet? Epithet, look at the word epithet. Epithet is a quality. Okay? And transferred epithet is the quality transferred from one object to the other. The description is transferred from one object to the other. Let's see the example. Transient feat. What is the meaning of transient? Impermanent. Okay. Feet. Feet, it's a normal part of the body. But here, the impermanent nature does not refer to the feet, actually. Okay. It refers to the human life. The human life is impermanent. The human life is short lived. Okay. The human life is immortal. But that quality here is transferred from that human life to feet. So we have transferred epithet. The quality of transience is transferred from the human life to feet. Okay, children. The next one is synecdoche. Synecdoche is where a part of the body refers to the whole. Okay, like the head that wears the crown. The head that wears the crown. Whom does it signify? The king on the whole. Okay, so there you have synecdoche, where when you say the head that wears the crown, we don't talk only about the head, we talk about the whole entity. Similarly, here also part of the body refers to the whole. You would have guessed which particular word carries synecdoche. Exactly, yes, it's feet. Feet here refers not only the feet, it refers to the whole body. Okay, because they say transient feet. Feet alone is not transient, it's the entire human body which is transient. Okay, we have synecdoche there. Children, there are no rhyming words and hence no rhyme scheme spotted. So it is made of free verse. And moreover, children, you try finding 5 more examples for the given poetic devices so that you will gain better understanding. Okay, children. Thank you. And this is your GS ma'am signing off.